Good evening. We're here at SINetwork, placing all eyes on injuries. I'm your number one sports anchor, Brooke Jackson, and here with me today is Coach Marion from the Clemson Tigers. So, Coach, how's the team this year?
We're going to be a dynamic force in the ACC this year, Brooke. We have a number one receiver in Mike Williams and a dynamic quarterback in Deshaun Watson and two-star running backs that I feel are going to be the best this season.
Well, today we're going to be focusing on high school injuries. So, as a former athlete, did you suffer any injuries?
I had a couple of injuries back in the day. I sprained my wrist playing basketball, and I also have some mild knee problems that I'm still dealing with.
All right, today we'll be looking at basketball, track, volleyball, baseball, and football.
We'll be back after a few brief words from our sponsors.
Stay tuned. You don't want to miss this. We're back, and our first stop is going to be with Brittany Williams at USC Columbia with the Gamecocks.
Hi, Brooke. We're here at Lake Marion High School, the high school where Jonathan Brown suffered his concussion. Jonathan, how did your concussion happen?
Well, we was playing Denmark Ola. Was it Ola? Yeah, Ola. And then it was really unexpected at first. I was coming down the court, dribbling the ball, and then I went up for a shot, and then two guys just came out of nowhere and just grabbed the ball and just knocked me down to the ground, caused me to hit my head, and that's how it pretty much happened.
So, were you able to continue playing during the season?
Well, yes, I only missed like one game. The next game we went to Cross, and that was the only game I really couldn't miss because the doctor recommended that I stay out for one game, make sure that there wasn't anything else wrong with me. So yeah.
So, did the injury prevent you to stop doing anything in your regular life?
No, it didn't. It wasn't as serious as I thought it was. When I went to the emergency room later on that night, as long as I didn't feel dizzy or as long as I didn't feel like I had to throw up, then they said it was okay. I didn't have a major concussion.
And here now you're a coach at USC.
Yeah, they probably needed my assistance down there, but Final Four, we coming down there, Indianapolis, we coming.
Well, congratulations on your success, and thank you for coming to talk to us today.
Thank you.
Our next stop is going to be with Coach Carver Robinson at LSU with the Lady Tigers. They got real hands-on injuries.
Hello everyone, I'm Coach Robinson for the LSU volleyball team, and right now I have Kashayla Johnson with me. She's going to tell me a little bit about her sports injury. So Kashayla, what actually happened to your ankle?
Well, I actually broke my ankle. The situation that I had went through it was kind of stressful and hard because when I first had did it, you know how you just think something happened and then it don't happen. And I just had tried to get up and it didn't work, so I just sat back down. And all I heard was they telling the coach that I was hurt, and the coach didn't believe them. So I just stayed there, and everybody came running. And the coach tried to move my ankle, and I just started screaming. So after that, it was like I just felt like I wasn't nowhere to be found. I just blacked out. And as time went by, I went through a state of mind. Like, I just lost it. It was kind of hard. And, well, basically my recovery was it took me like 3 to 4 weeks. Because when I first started off, it was like I didn't listen to nobody. Because I kept thinking it was telling me the wrong thing. But as time went past, I did good. And now when I play like sports and stuff, it's like I can't maneuver how I usually maneuver. But it's like I just try my best, and I always try to forget about my ankle, but knowing that it's still there. But basically, I just try to do my best and just let it go.
Okay, so in therapy, tell me some things that they did to help you get back right now, working out your ankle.
Well, I did the treadmill, and I had to stand on this little balance thing with my ankle, and I couldn't stand up straight, so they could have tell that this leg was still weak. They had to build it back up. I had to ride the bicycle, and I had to put pressure on this little pillow. It's some type of pillow thing that they had, and just leg strengthening stuff, exercise and stuff.
Was it painful?
Yeah, it was. I even scared the nurse one time because she thought that I had messed it up again, but it was just that I was scared. But other than that, it was good.
That's it. And this is Jessica Blanchard. We are players at LSU, and right now my teammate is going to talk about her injury that she had her freshman year playing volleyball. So Jessica, what happened?
Well, during my freshman year, I got hurt during my, the third game of the season. What happened was I came down on it wrong during warm-ups. It kind of slided together and it twisted. But when I went to the doctor, they said I had an LP maltraction. Instead of moving up and down like the knee should, it moves side to side. And it really hinders me from playing because I can't move like I want to. I kind of slowed down from my high school years to this year playing. And yeah, I was kind of disappointed, but then again, my training and my physical training helped me get it back up to shape.
Next, we will make a stop down in the big town of Santee, where those Gators are really got some serious speed on the track field.
Hi, I'm Jamacia Moore, and here we are in the town of Santee at Lake Marion, where some of the Lake Marion runners are about to attempt to do the 100-meter dash.
On your mark, get set, go.
Is you okay? What? My ankle. I think it's sprained. Cut. Well, we are now here with Coach Jenkins. He was one that was affected by the Achilles tendon rupture. So, Coach Jenkins, I would like to ask you a few questions about your injury.
Of course.
How did it happen?
I was playing tennis. Being a younger guy, my skill set was greater than his, or better than his, but he wanted to improve his game, and so I consented to playing with him. And we were playing tennis when it happened.
Okay. When it happened, what was the feeling?
Jamacia, when I ruptured my Achilles, I knew that it was my Achilles. Initially, I thought that I had stepped on the can, the plastic cans where the balls come in, and because I heard the snap, and I thought it was the sound of my foot on the can. And after I got up, I tried to get up, I couldn't get up. That's when I realized the nature of my injury.
Okay. What effect did it have on your life?
At the time, I was in graduate school, working on a degree in administration, and I had to miss several weeks of class simply because I had a cast, and all of my classes were on the second and third floor at the Citadel. So it was very uncomfortable in the beginning, but after 3 months or so, or 3 weeks, things began to level out. It just slowed me down tremendously.
What were some treatment options you had to go through?
Well, the surgeon told me I had 2 options. If I chose surgery, it would take 7 months for the tendons to attach itself or to heal. And if I did not choose surgery, it would take a year and I'd have to be in a cast the whole while. So that's a no-brainer. I took the surgery.
Okay. How do you think you could have prevented this from happening?
They say, and we did, I always do as a former athlete, I always stretch, and I just think that in time, just like automobiles and other things with the body, at times they just break down. And I guess if I was a little bit lighter, it wouldn't have happened had I wasn't as heavy as I was at that particular time.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Coach.
Alrighty.
Hi, we are here with Jamaica Moore, the girl that was just injured in the previous shot. Hi, Jamaica.
Hey.
What happened during this race?
Well, like during the race, I guess, I was doing a 100 and I was sprinting hard. So I guess like I came on my heel the wrong way and that caused my ligaments to damage.
Why do you think this happened?
I think it happened because when I was running, my foot went outward and my ankle went inward. So I guess that like spreaded my ligaments.
How do you think you could have prevented it?
I could have prevented it by just like using the right form, scribing, because I was just too worried about trying to get to the finish line that I wasn't focusing on the form I needed to have.
And what injury do you have?
I have a sprained ankle.
And what effect does it have on your life?
Like, I got to be on crutches for a maximum number of weeks. And I also can't run track for a good little minute. And I had to go do physical therapy just to get right.
Oh, thank you, Jamaica.
Thank you.
Coming up, we're going to the Kansas City Royals and check out Coach Bryce and his all-star team.
Good morning, my name is Bryce High, coach of the Kansas City Royals. Today, we're going to be talking about the injury to my starting catcher, Salvador Perez, aka the Cannon. First, you'll hear the voice of my third baseman, Taquan Middleton. Next after him is my second baseman, Antoine White. And after that, my first baseman, Anthony White. Basically, they're just going to be telling you how good of a catcher this guy is, because it's going to be very hard to replace him. But hopefully, he's going to come back on a full recovery and we'll be ready for the playoffs.
I believe the Cannon is hands down the greatest catcher I've ever seen. Like, most people do not understand, without a great catcher, you cannot win a game of baseball. This guy throws are so consistent. Like, he puts the ball right on point for you to tag every player out. Like, this guy, he plays with great agility. He's a very talented player, and I think we need him to make it to the playoffs. Like, we're gonna fight it out. We're gonna battle, but it's gonna be hard to replace the Cannon.
Talking about catcher Salvador Perez, he's an elite catcher. I mean, he go out there every day and goes to work. I mean, he's behind the plate. He gives us dynamic throws down to the bag. You can't ask for anything better than that. And from an offensive standpoint, you can't ask for a better catcher every day putting ball in play. I mean, giving us an RBI when we need one. This guy's to the plate, behind the plate. I mean, he's all around. We need a guy like him. It's going to be tough to find a catcher that can replace him and do the things that he does, but we'll work with it. But from the time being, we will really pray that he's come back, so we need him on the team.
An amazing catcher can describe the Ken. He's always had will, determination. He always had adversity. Even though this game intended to be an individual game, he always has know what to do at the moment when we need him. He always throws good throws. He always knows when to shoot the ball. Always had good accuracy. And that's all I can explain. No word can describe the Ken.
Well, now it's time for me to come back in the studio with y'all, fellas. But I thank all my players for telling y'all about Salvador Perez. I'll talk a lot more about him when I get back to the studio. Everybody, this has been Taquan Middleton, Antoine White, and Anthony White. We are the Kansas City Royals.
I'm Dr. Johnson here, physical therapist for the Miami Marlins. Today I'll be telling you about some of the main injuries I've seen over the past 10 years I've been working with them. The two major injuries I've seen is the tennis elbow and the rotator cuff tear. The tennis elbow is like the overuse of your arm. You'll get a pain in your elbow. And two treatments you can use is just a simple brace, or you can take some ibuprofen, or either you can put ice on it. And the rotator cuff tear, that's basically for like pitchers. They'll get it like it's a tear in the tendon of their arms. It's 4 different tendons they can tear. But yeah, some treatments are ice, and you can do some light lifting of the waist, and some preventions you can do like to prevent that is shoulder exercises, basically.
Wow, that plane sure was fast. But how you doing, Coach Bryce?
Doing good, Mr. Green.
So can you elaborate more on the cannon?
Yeah, well, he got hurt trying to throw a runner out at second. Rotator cuff tear, but the doctor said he probably will be out for the rest of the season. But we want him to come back for the playoffs because we really need him in the batting lineup, but not just offensively, defensively. Having led the MLB and throwing outs. His throws are accurate, precise, powerful. All that rolled into one. We need that coming up as we face the bigger teams like the Miami Marlins and the New York Yankees and the Oakland Athletics that everybody is sleeping on. If we don't have him back, we're going to lose all of those games and we'll be kicked out of the playoffs before anybody can realize it.
Well, of course, we saved the best for last. Now we'll check out LaShawn White and the Kansas City Chief. He got some real good stuff for us.
Alright, today we're talking about our favorite city sport team, the Kansas City Chiefs. Last year the Kansas City Chiefs went 9-7 and just missing the playoffs. Even though we missed the playoffs, we do have some important players on our team. Linebacker Justin Houston recorded 22 sacks, and our running back Jamal Charles rushed for 1,033 yards with 9 touchdowns. Now back in 2011, Jamal Charles suffered a season-ending ACL tear, which altered his career for the rest of his career. Since then, he hasn't made a full comeback, and he hasn't really developed as he was before. Antoine, do you think that Jamal Charles will ever come back to where he was before?
Yeah, I think he will have a bounce back here. Even Jamal Charles, he's a dynamic player. He's not just a player that's going to go on the field and say, yeah, I'm worried about my injury. He's going to go out there and do what he has to do. he's not afraid about re-injuring his leg. He's going to go out there and do all he can to have the Chiefs win and go into the playoffs.
But still, though, even though you say that about Jamal Charles haven't have the numbers he had before 2011. Before 2011, he was getting 15 touchdowns a year, 16 touchdowns a year, playing 15, 16 games. Now he's only playing 11 to 12 and getting 9 to 10 touchdowns a season.
Well, you got to think about it. Average him with different running backs in the league. He's still competing. If you can look at his rushing numbers, he's probably still in the top 10 or 15 in rushing yards. Even though he's not playing as many games as many elite running backs, he's still doing what he has to do to give the Chiefs an opportunity to win.
Antoine, I don't understand what you're talking about here. Even though you saying all this, I still believe he's going to re-injure that ACL.
But you got to understand, he's a football player. You put yourself on the line every game. If you hurt yourself, what's the sense of you coming back? You get injured every game. You got people dealing with a broken finger, probably with a broken toe.
I understand that. But still, it's the ACL tear. It's way different from a broken finger. You can play with a broken finger. You can play with a broken finger, but you cannot.
4 years.
You can, but still though, it can happen.
If he was
it can happen.
He wouldn't be back out there. It's been 4 years.
It can happen. Look at Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose.
That's basketball.
But it's still, he's doing the same thing Derrick Rose is doing. Derrick Rose, he does the same things what Derrick Rose does.
He's not the same player. Jamal Charles, he will give 110% regardless. Every day after practice, you can listen to the coach. He's after practice working on the ACL, and you telling me that he's not gonna have the same year, another dynamic year? Come on, man.
I don't see it happening.
You don't understand Jamal Charles.
I don't see it happening.
Watch him have a breakout year. I guarantee you, this year he's gonna be in the league rushing and for touchdowns.
If Jamal Charles have a better season than he did ever before, I'll sell my car.
Well, you sell it then, and I'll be the first one to buy it.
All right.
Hi, I'm trying to catch Rich Welker. Did I get him? Oh, I just have to call him. Hello? Yes, Wes. Hello? Hey. Mr. Green, how you doing, though? I'm doing good. How about yourself? Doing pretty good. Just got Well. Doing a little tired to hit the shower. Hold on, I got an interview with you real quick. All right, make it quick, make it a little quick. Coach needs to talk to you too. All right, did you recall that injury that you had with your concussion injury? Oh yeah, I recall like it was yesterday. Can you describe the play, please? Well, Texan players come at me at both sides. One hit me low, one hit me high, hit me the hardest. And then I just felt a little woozy. So what was the treatment? Well, basically just a bunch of tests. Just a whole lot of tests. Really got on my nerves, but anything to get back on the field. So did you say the recovery take long? The recovery period took long? Recovery period, about 4 to 5 weeks. You know, and once I recovered, I had to do a bunch of training back in shape. So how did the coaches treat you? Coaches tried to treat me different. I didn't like that though. I just wanted to be treated like a regular player. So I got another question for you. How is the transition from New England to Denver? You know, at first I didn't welcome it, but now I've settled in my role here at Denver. Then you wish I was there with them boys when they won that championship. That Super Bowl, wish I was there, man. Yes, because I'm sitting here looking at your stats, and at New England, you had 1,300 receiving yards and a total of 17 touchdowns. But here at the Broncos, you only had 406 yards and a total of 4 touchdowns. So what happened? You know, that's just me trying to learn a new quarterback. And Peyton Manning, he's a great quarterback, but him and Tom Brady, those are 2 different play styles. You got to understand that the transition, that's the hardest thing to come through.
But next year we'll get it right, and I'll be back out there with my same numbers or higher. Just gotta get back to the old grind.
Well, thank you, Wes. It's a pleasure to have your time.
Oh, no problem, fella. No problem. Go. All right, go. I'm coming.
This concludes our documentary on All Eyes on Injuries.
Thank you to all the coaches, trainers, players, and therapists that support this program. We're going to be closing out with a top 10 worst injuries. Thank you again. Have a good evening.
Bye-bye.
Here at Lake Marion, we're trying to figure out why we need to hire trainers for our athletes. Does anybody have anything to say about that?
For being a football player, I can honestly say that the coaches help the players get well trained and conditioned during the football off season. But these injuries are really outrageous. LaShawn?
Yeah, we had like 2 dislocated fingers, 3 shoulder separations, 2 concussions, ACL tear, an MCL tear, and a knee popping out, and several more injuries that happened over the year. How about you, Bryce?
Like you said, there's a lot of dislocations, and when a player goes back into the game because of a dislocation, it might turn worse because I think that dislocation of the knee turned into an MCL, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's very dangerous for people to go back in and they don't know what's happening to them.
Yeah.
What about basketball?
With basketball, I just think that most injuries happen on the road, and we don't really have a trainer to travel. So it's like the other trainers from the other schools basically helping our athletes when they get hurt, and I don't think that's right. We should have a trainer to travel with us just in case we get hurt, and that's vice versa too. When kids come to our school and they get hurt, they just hurt, and that's where lawsuits come in. So should definitely get a trainer.
Okay, well with volleyball, one thing I can say is like I think that it's a necessity to have a trainer because I think that's not the coach's job. They're not training that field, so they didn't let the coaches focus on coaching, so we can have a trainer to come in and like worry about all like the finger jams that volleyball has, the knee and the meniscus problems and like back problems. Cause like when you go up to spike, we have a lot of girls that hurt their backs here, and for serving you have like knee injuries and and whatnot. So you need somebody like around the clock care for them, and that's not the coach's job.
So coaches aren't trained to diagnose injury?
No, not at all.
But owls do try.
They do try, but it's wrong, you know.
Get ice for everything. I promise.
You're not supposed to do that. That's not. They're not training that field. That's never supposed to happen.
Some try to pop something back into place and they don't know how to pop it.
Yeah, like they could really be hurt and be misdiagnosed.
No, they can make something worse. They can make matters worse.
Right.
So having a trainer on the spot would definitely help, not prevent it, but prevent it from getting worse.
Exactly. Because you need somebody to tell an athlete not to go back in if they're really hurt, because they're not going to tell you the truth. So.
They just worry about getting the game done. So Jamaisi, has anything happened in track?
Well, there wasn't no injuries happening since I was running for 3 years. But you know with track, there's a lot of running and jumping. So we condition ourselves good. But when you're in a race, you just run. So anything can happen. So that's why we need a trainer.
Well, as Brittany said, not having a trainer affects us, but it also affects the school with lawsuits and all that. While I had a dislocated finger, I went to the orthopedic doctor, and when I went there, they gave me and my mother some financial information. The students aren't supposed to pay for their medical visits. The school is supposed to have insurance on all their athletes. So basically, if all the people that got hurt while I was here, when I used to play football, and while I was playing baseball, with like several arms getting thrown out of place and all that, their parents' insurance, they're not supposed to pay their insurance back. The school is supposed to pay for their insurance because the school is responsible for them at that point. Once you make the team, you come out the tryouts, anything like that, anything that happens on the school ground, the school is supposed to take care of.
So
So you saying if I get injured, I can sue?
Yeah.
So why do you think the school didn't tell us that? Like that they're supposed to have insurance on everybody, or all the athletes?
Basically, people just don't know their rights. I mean, that's something you should know. Cause
But the school is low on funds too.
that's true too.
That's what
But
it's. The school, yes, the school is low on funds, but if a person that, like Brittany says, knows their rights, they're going to be paying a whole lot more money than what they would have been paying if they would have just paid it in the first place.
I think even though if they're low on funds, they should take responsibility for the actions because they're responsible for us when we're playing. Well, y'all are playing because I'm not an athlete.
That's okay, bro. Okay. Still
Bye.
Bye.
High school is constantly developing new sports here at the school, and even with the sports that we have, we do need a trainer here, or maybe more than one, for that matter, because kids can easily get hurt, and they can't have access to a doctor right away. So they can, we definitely need trainers here.
And we witnessed numerous of injuries that the players encounter during their sport, whether it be practice during the game, and a lot of times when the injury occur, we don't have anybody other than the coaches to go and look after these guys and find out what's going on. We're really not trainers to work with their injuries.
Exactly.
And we really need that because we had some concussion that happened here. We had to wait for like 30 to 45 minutes before an ambulance come and the kid was laying on the floor, just waiting, nobody to take care of that person.
And even so, when we go off, there was trainers that had to help our student athlete when they got hurt on floors that, away from home. And a trainer would be good even to follow us sometime when we go on these away trips too. We definitely need it.
And it really benefit us whenever we're on the road and that school have a trainer on hand.
That's good.
To assist us.
That's good.
But we definitely need one at Lake Marion High School.
We need a trainer because as a coach, we're not equipped to take care of the freak accidents. All we know sometimes just put ice on the injury. I had a player who had a concussion and I really didn't know what to do but not touch her. Sometimes in your practice, you may be the only coach in practice. Someone get injured, you have to be with that one player. Other players not supervised. So it's very important that we have someone to take care of injuries, and also prevent the school from being sued.
Go.
You know, the liability situation is always falls back on the coaches that are there. Our coaches are not equipped to treat anyone. Therefore, they can only recommend, and they are not qualified to really recommend anything. So what we end up with a situation where we've got an injured kid and there's no one looking out for him. Coaches are out busy watching the film. And a lot of times the parents think that we just disregarding the kids and not taking care of them, which is really far from the truth. We want them to have the best protection. We want to prevent all the injuries we can. Just having a trainer on hand all the time just takes that completely out of the coach's hand because we're not qualified. Even though we do have first aid safety training, we're not qualified to treat any athlete that has an injury. Taping ankles is not treatment.
So we need an athletic trainer, one, because it's mandated, and also so we can have the proper diagnosis and treatment for our athletes when they're hurt, and that way they don't have to always go to the doctor and they can get it right away and then get back to their sport faster than normal.
Go.
Why we need a trainer? I think more so than anything, the first thing is it's mandated by the high school league. So if that's a mandate, our district need to follow suit somehow. What really troubles me is that we can find monies to do any and everything else, and yet we can't find monies to staff athletic training. When you think in terms of the number of athletes that we have and the number of injuries that we have sustained throughout the course of a year, it's ludicrous for us not to have a trainer. And not only that, we as coaches, we allow these parents entrust these kids to us, and within the best of our abilities and know-how, we try to treat them or handle them accordingly to the injuries, but it just would make things so much simpler, and it would really be advantageous for us to have a trainer, because that'd be less time that one of the coaches, rather than paying attention to the one individual, the rest of the team, because that's how it is, that's how it should be. I don't see any reason why we can't. We can find monies for everything else. We need to have an